This is my funny medical procedure experience. I have Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease is a digestive disorder under the umbrella of irritable bowel disease. It means I have bouts of throwing up, diarrhea, sometimes at the same time. This also causes another disease called primary biliary cirrhosis, which affects my liver and leads to a blocked bile duct. This means that I have to have regular medical tests, such as a yearly colonoscopy, upper and lower GIs called an EGD, and sometimes an ERCP, which is the procedure I'll talk about today. The ERCP is a procedure that allows the surgeon to insert a stent, which is a plastic, sometimes metal tube, into a blocked bile duct, so that waste can pass through and out of my body. So I'm going to talk about my first ERCP. It was an interesting experience. I was having diarrhea, loss of appetite, weight loss, and generally just not feeling well. I was immediately scheduled for an ERCP. It's an outpatient procedure. So I went into the hospital, changed into my gown, and waited to be called into the room where they would do the test. I remember the room being very cold, and there was this big, burly, bearded man who was my nurse. He was kind, though, very friendly. He'd talk with me a while so I could relax. He went over the procedure, and then he had me lay down on the table. Because of dehydration due to the diarrhea and the vomiting, a normal needle couldn't be inserted, so they used a small bore needle instead. I was hooked to an IV and told to lay on my side with my knees curled halfway to my chest. So this was so that they can insert a tube both in my esophagus and rectum at the same time, which was needed for inserting a stent into the blocked bile duct. The nurse put the medication in the drip bag and told me to just relax. I remember I started talking. Then the next thing I remember, I was waking up in the hospital recovery room. A friend was waiting, and she took me home, and I recovered by resting for the rest of the afternoon. Now, a stent is not permanent, so it needs to be replaced or removed. 6 weeks later, I came into the hospital to have the stent either replaced or removed. I changed in my gown, waited, and was called into the procedure room. There was the same big, burly, bearded nurse that I had before, but this time he wasn't friendly. I said, "Hello, I remember you. How are you?" He did a quick smile and went back to work, prepping the table. Well, that's strange, I thought. I watched him prep the table. He placed equipment, drip bag, everything. But this time, he added something. He put a board with straps on the procedure table. It looked like one of those boards you see on TV that they strap people in at the scene of an accident to transport them to the hospital. I looked at him and I asked, "Well, what's that for?" He made no eye contact with me. He said, "We just need to make sure you're safe." "But you didn't do this before." He just kept working, prepping the table. I kept trying to figure out what's going on here, because this nurse was just acting so strange. All of a sudden, it dawned on me. I remembered a dream I had under anesthesia when I was here for my first procedure. It seems I was laying on the table. There was something in my mouth. I reached to grab it, and a man, and I can only see his arm, but it looked like the arm of this nurse standing right before me. He grabbed my hand. We started wrestling. The more I tried to pull this thing out, the stronger his arm became, trying to stop me. We wrestled, we tussled, then all of a sudden, everything went black. Oh, no. I remember when I was a little girl growing up, I would have very vivid dreams, and later found out that they weren't dreams at all, but they actually happened. Could this be what happened? I looked at the nurse and asked, "Did something happen the last time?" He looked up, then looked back down. I continued. "I dreamed I wrestled with somebody when I was under anesthesia. Did that really happen? Did I wrestle with you? Did I wake up? Did I hurt you? I'm so sorry. I thought it was a dream. I'm sorry." He again looked at me, put his hand on my shoulder, and patted it gently and said, "It's okay. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again." I got on the table, I laid down. I felt awful. He had me lay on my left side again with my knees halfway curled up to my chest. He put the needle in my arm, hooked me up to the IV, put the medication in the drip bag. I think I started to say something, I don't remember. Then the next thing I remember, I woke up at home, in my own bed, a day later. I don't even remember my friend picking me up or driving me home. I remember dreaming that I was in a car going home, but that was about it. I found out later that the first time I did wake up. So to keep this from happening again, they tripled my anesthesia this time. Wow, what an experience.